What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update. Yes, all about Antonio Conte again. It seems as though it is that time of year once again where the manager merry-go-round is set to get underway. Let's start with the Antonio Conte stuff that's been doing the round since we last gave you the Tottenham update. Jack Pitbrook says that the players are completely fed up with Conte, with his training tactics and rigidity of everything, inability to motivate the squad or even manage the mood of the squad. Fabrizio Romano says discussions are taking place again today at Tottenham to proceed the final steps of the decision on Antonio Conte. Italian coach is still waiting for the club to communicate the decision in the next 24 to 48 hours, as reported yesterday. Di Marzio says that the Tottenham board are evaluating the future of Conte and the final decision could come in the next few hours. The Times are saying that Tottenham players believe Conte has managed his last game for the club. The Guardian saying Tottenham have begun to check the market for new managers in a sign that they are ready to accelerate the departure of Antonio Conte amid concerns the majority of the players are no longer behind him. Sami Mokbel says that Levy is now prepared to sack Daniel Levy this week. Sky Sports say that Conte believes some of the players are happy to stay in their comfort zone and settle for mediocrity no matter who the coach is. He also believes if the culture at the club is not right, then the club is never going to be successful. And finally, the Telegraph is saying that Ryan Mason is the most likely person to be put in temporary charge until the end of the season, in time for Tottenham's next game against Everton on April the 3rd, with Antonio Conte set to depart this week. So it looks as though we are at the end of Antonio Conte.
Yep. It's happening.
It looks like it's happening. Big shame to all of us, and looks like Ryan Mason is going to get his second crack of the whip.
Unbelievable. 2 years after exactly the same happened thing with Jose Mourinho, 6 days for a cup final, we ended up giving it Ryan Mason until the end of the season. That just was set to do exactly the same thing 2 years later. That goes to show what an absolute shambles this club is in and how it's run, in my opinion, and the decisions they've made from a footballing standpoint over the last few years, ever since they've sacked Pochettino, have just been absolutely disastrous, from one disaster to the next. The fact that we have, if you think about it, we haven't had a manager manage a whole season at Tottenham since 18-19.
Yeah.
That's an absolute joke. That's an absolute joke. It means that Spurs always panic when near the end of the season, always end up sacking the manager. They never let it run its course, the whole thing. They never make the right decisions when it comes to when to appoint a manager, and obviously we all know giving the manager the right tools. They've lurched from different managers, 4 different managers since sacking Pochettino, each one being very different, and each one not giving them the squad that they need to actually challenge and win titles and actually compete with the top teams for titles. And they treat these managers like they're a project when they're not project managers. So what's the point? I don't get the point of giving them squads which they're going to have to build and they're going to have to mould, instead of actually giving these managers what's the point of selling these managers a dream when they're never going to live up to it? It's absolute craziness, in my opinion. And this club has just been a shambles. And look, now Conte is set to depart. And we obviously, no one knows what's going to happen in terms of new manager. Are they going to appoint him now? Are they going to appoint him at the end of the season? They don't know either. And it's another elite manager who's come to this club and hasn't been able to make it work. And this keeps happening. It's like Groundhog Day yet again. It just keeps happening every single time. And when are this board ever going to learn? They're never going to learn. They probably don't think they're doing anything wrong, as we've heard before. They think they're doing a great job. And it's just, it's like, I don't know where to go with this club at the moment. Nothing seems to work. And
There's
they
nothing
just
to go apart from get into your bed, hide under the covers until it all blows over, if it ever does blow over. And it's just like, you cast your mind back to when we sacked Pochettino 4 years ago. And in those last 4 years, what the hell have we done as a football club? We've done absolutely nothing. We've stood still, gone backwards, gone a little bit forwards, gone backwards, gone a little bit forwards. It's been absolutely terrible, a waste of all of our times this last 4 years, literally.
Yeah.
We go from Pochettino to Jose Mourinho. You sack Jose Mourinho 6 days before a cup final. You get Ryan Mason in for that cup final in his first game in management, pretty much, or second game in management, whatever it may be. You get rid of Mason at the end of the season, and then you take 72 days to hire Nuno. And just before you hire Nuno, Daniel Levy comes out saying, "Oh, we need to get back to the Spurs DNA. We need to get back to playing attacking football," all this kind of stuff. You hire Nuno. A few months later, he gets the chop, and you hire Antonio Conte on an 18-month deal, which was, let's be honest, probably doomed to fail from the get-go. So this club is in a complete mess. They don't know what they want to be. They don't know which direction they want to go in. And what's the next step now for Tottenham Hotspur? Nobody knows, but it looks as though Brian Mason will probably be coming in for the rest of the season. And if anyone thinks that's going to be a success and he's going to catapult us to top four and keep us in this top four, I think you're probably rudely mistaken, because I cannot see Ryan Mason getting us top four. I just can't see it.
Neither can I. I just end the season now, honestly, or get a new manager in as soon as possible. I mean, I don't see the point in giving it Mason to the end of the season. Obviously, maybe they would argue they don't have a choice, but if no manager's willing to come now, but it's just so disheartening that we're in the same position again 2 years after doing it the first time round, and it didn't exactly go well the first time round. So it's just, I don't know where to go with this club, honestly. Ryan Mason again.
Well, I guarantee you, if the miraculous and the miracle does happen and he does get us top four, Levy's going to be like, "Oh, you know what? This guy can be our Arteta. Let's sign him up to a long-term deal. Let's back him. Let's give him a project." You know what I mean? I wouldn't say that's beyond all realms of possibility.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised when it comes to this club. Nothing surprises me anymore. Get Harry Redknapp in.
Yeah, maybe get the band back together. Why not? But
get Harry in. Bring him back.
It's an absolute joke.
We saw Hodgson go back to Palace. Why can't we get Redknapp? Bring him back.
Bring him out of retirement to get us back into that top four.
Oh man, it's just like, how come we're the only manager? We're the only club that just ends up hating their elite managers that come and manage their team, and everywhere else they go, they win loads of trophies and they have fond memories and they become legends, and then they come to Tottenham and it just all goes tits up, and then we all end up hating them, and then we're getting fired.
I don't hate any of them. I love all of them. I love Jose. I love Conte.
I think you're in the minority, unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe I am, but I don't see a reason to hate any of these managers. They've come and done their best at this football club. Their best is not enough because of what the hierarchy give them to succeed in the job. That's the facts of the matter. So I don't understand any hate that's thrown Jose's or Conte's way.
I read a quote today in an article. It was from Darren. Who was it from? I can't remember who it was from. It was in the Mirror, and he said that I thought it was really funny. Have you ever seen Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares?
Yeah.
He said that to sack Conte, it conjures up images of Gordon Ramsay going into a struggling restaurant, taking a good look around the place, highlighting all the reasons why it's going wrong, only for the owners to decide he's the problem. And I've seen those Gordon Ramsay episodes so much, and that's so true. It's pretty much what Tottenham are, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's all they bring these guys in and they tell them they're the problem all the time, and they end up sacking them. And the only good thing they ever had, they sacked on a whim, and that's the reality.
Yeah. And all right, let's move on. Let's talk about that guy that they did sack on a whim in Maurizio Pochettino. Sky Sports News saying that Poch will assess all his options in the summer. Pochettino is ready to return to management, but is waiting for the right opportunity. He has had several approaches in the last 8 months, none of which he felt that were right. Members of the Tottenham squad have been in contact with Pochettino about a potential return to the club, and Daniel Levy is under huge pressure to reappoint Maurizio Pochettino as Tottenham boss, with several players and staff members pleading with the Argentine to return and reinvigorate the club. And The Guardian says that out-of-work contenders such as Maurizio Pochettino, Thomas Tuchel and Luis Enrique would prefer to step in at the start of pre-season. And also Fabrizio Romano on that Tuchel thing was saying that keep an eye on Tuchel.
Keep an eye on another ex-Chelsea manager. Fantastic. Can't wait. Can't wait for it to go tits up in 18 months' time.
But like when you're looking at all these managers like Enrique, Tuchel, Poch, like I can't see it working with the likes of Enrique and Tuchel. I could just see us being in the same position as we are in a year's time. You know what I mean? Like the only one
demanding managers who just will want exactly what they want, and Spurs can't give them exactly what they want. So when inevitably they don't win trophies, they're going to kick up a fuss.
Exactly. So the only one that we're kind of linked with seriously, the one I can see it working with, is Pochettino. I mean, I can't see it really. I mean, can I even see it working properly with Pochettino? I don't know, but I think that he's the most likely one out of all the rest of them, because we know he can work under this ownership. He did it for 5 years. The other one, every other manager just comes and goes within the space of a year, 18 months. So I don't see the point of signing someone like Tuchel or Enrique. I think Pochettino probably should be the only one.
I don't think we've never gotten over Pochettino, to be honest. I don't think this club, ever since they sacked him, we've always been pinning for him, and you know, the great high intensity football that he played, and that he was so consistent with over the period he was Tottenham manager. And I remember him very fondly. I mean, I can't stand the people who say, oh, he's a loser and he never wins anything, and he failed at Tottenham. People say he failed at Tottenham. It's like, I don't know what you're watching or what kind of, or if you understand football at all to think he failed. He's the best Tottenham manager in the Premier League era, bar none. To say he failed is laughable.
Yeah, but those people who say he failed probably say one day Ramos succeeded. You know what I mean?
They'll never say that. No one ever says one day Ramos succeeded. Like, Pochettino did an unbelievable job. What we should have done is what Liverpool did this season with Klopp. That's exactly what we should have done the season that we sacked Pochettino. Just let him ride out the bad period, let him get some new signings and rebuild the squad, and then get back to the levels he was at. We didn't. We just we saw some bad form, and we immediately just we saw Mourinho there, and Levy had a thing for Mourinho, so we just sacked him, and we've never really recovered from that situation. The only good period we've really had was under Conte last season for those 6 months, where we clawed our way to top four. That's the only decent period we've had over the last 4 years since Pochettino's left.
There was one decent period under Jose, wasn't there, when we were top of the league for those month or whatever.
Even that, that was a lot shorter than people remember. It was only like 10 games, you know what I mean? So yeah, I guess I was.
But the back end of Conte was only 14 games.
No, he was there from November till the end of the season.
That good run that Conte had was only about 10, 14 games.
As in the first 6 months of Conte was the good period. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was a good period for 6 months. Like, it wasn't that long for Mourinho. It was literally a couple of months.
There was a bad time. I mean, he had a good initial bounce, and then it went really bad for a bit under Conte, and then the last 10, 15, 14 games of the season was really good. I think that's the moment that people are going to remember, that kind of run at the end of last season, not really the early stages of Conte. And I think Mourinho had probably a similar thing, about 10 games of good stuff.
I don't think it was the same. I think Conte did it for longer, and obviously he got us a top four when he did it when it mattered as well. So that's the only good period I remember. Under Jose, yeah, there was fleeting moments, but I don't think it was ever a consistent period.
Got the chance to do it at the back end of the season.
Damn right. I don't disagree with that as well. But I just think that we're pining for Pochettino to come back. I think this is what a lot of the fans want. I think that he kind of has that aura of unfinished business as well, because he never won anything in his first tenure when there are lots of possibilities to, and the sacking still doesn't sit right with a lot of people. And I just think it makes sense. He's the one that makes sense. I reckon he'll want to come back. I reckon he'll have a lot of favour with a lot of the players as well. And I just think, like, we haven't got over him. We still have those feelings for him, like of love, and that's the reality.
Yeah, and like I said before, I just think that he's the one that probably should come back. If we know that it's going to be extremely difficult, if not next to impossible, for a manager to be a success here under these ownership, for us to go and win some trophies, get someone in that loves the club, that the fans love, that we can get a good vibe back in the fan base, and see where we go from there. Because hiring these managers like Conte, like Mourinho, like your Thomas Tuchel's, it's just not going to work.
What's the point? We've just proven that it's not going to work.
There's no point. Like, we can't be wasting any more time. Just get a manager in that's going to unite all of us, and we'll see where we go from there. Like, this current way of working is just
accept. We should just accept where we are, and that's that. We only need managers that can build, that can be flexible, that can that want to build with the club and be a project. There's no point trying to pretend that we're some big club who can hire a manager and give them what they want to win the leagues. It's never going to happen. Exactly. And people like Enrique, you think Enrique is just going to be happy challenging for top four? No chance. He's going to want to be challenging for the league, and he's not going to be able to do that straight away at Tottenham, and then he's going to grow frustrated. So we just got to accept where we are, and I think hopefully Pochettino can be a manager who does that.
Yeah, another manager who has been linked is Oliver Glasner of Eintracht Frankfurt, and Bild are reporting that Tottenham have now made contact with the agents of Oliver Glasner to replace Antonio Conte. Would he be one that you'd be any sort of interest
I mean,
in?
I've seen Frankfurt play a few times. I don't like, they seem to be a decent team, but like they don't seem to be a amazingly offensive, like exciting team. They're also quite like solid and well organized, and also play a lot in the transitions, play very direct football. Like they play with a 3 at the back system. They do have good players like Mawani, Jesper Lindstrom, Evan Ndika, Kamada. They do have some good players, and they do play some good attacking football at times, but I don't see him as like, I don't know, like he plays very similar kind of football to Conte, or maybe it's a bit more adventurous, but it's not like night and day, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, I think he's doing a good job at Frankfurt. Obviously got them in the Champions League, but I mean, they're on bad form at the moment. I know in the Bundesliga they're not playing that well right now, but I mean, I think look, he's done well with Frankfurt. He does well, but whether that can translate from the Bundesliga into the Premier League, I don't know. Big question marks there.
Yeah, again, like when you're putting names in like this, you may as well just go for Poch, and we all know Poch wants to come back. But look, that's enough on the manager situation. Let's finish off with a potential signing for the summer, albeit we don't know who our manager is going to be, so I'm not sure what point there is talking about this. But Florian Plettenberg saying that Tottenham have inquired and are very interested in RB Salzburg striker Noah Okafor, who wants to make the next step in his career this summer. Another player out of the Red Bull network. He's a very, very good player, to be honest. I've seen him play a couple of times. Really good striker, scores quite a few goals, and definitely knows where the back of the net is. So I think that, look, if we're going to sign someone, I think anyone out the Red Bull network we should be looking at, to be honest, because they seem to have a conveyor belt of talent over there.
Definitely, they always have good young players. They've got a brilliant youth set up over there. So the next young striker, you definitely have to take notice. He's still young, 22. He's got some decent 21 or 22, but he's got some decent goal scoring records for his age. He does remind me a bit like of a young Callum Wilson, to be honest. I don't know whether you can say that's praise or that's criticism, but I think Wilson's a decent striker, but whether I think he could do well under a manager like Pochettino, where he's high intensity pressing. He can really press from the front and defend from the front in that kind of way. I still think he's fairly raw. I still think a lot of his finishing still needs a lot of work, but I do think he's got a high potential. So I think he's a kind of striker who doesn't come in and hit the ground running, but definitely if he could be back up for a bit and then maybe look to take over.
Yeah, exactly, because we've seen players like, who is it, Patson Daka, did he come from there as well? And he was smashing it out there for RB, and he hasn't really seemed to convert that into the Premier League just yet. But look, we'll see what happens. That is our Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding everything around the manager situation. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on you Spurs.